times this year. The other important thing, Clem has never beaten Serral offline. It's never happened. He's gotten close, Home Story Cup in the finals. But this time, well, again, it hasn't happened yet. And in this game, Serral, this is weird. He's taking the gold base as his natural.
Yes, he is, and it's an Extractor Trick 15 hatch, the Eric opener to do it. Brazilian Zerg player Eric using this build to mind game and beat up Dark in not one, but two of those ESL Open Cup weeklies. And just a very cool opener overall. Has been adapted to ZVT a little bit. And on Equilibrium, I'm really interested to see what comes of it. There's a lot of things that can come from this. If you bait the Reaper down to that gold base, Serral might be able to slip a couple of lings from the main across the map and maybe get a delay on his opponent's command center. This is a very interesting opener already.
It really is, but if we go back to what happened yesterday, Clem plays Solar and you talk about, the lings slip by and this might be just a big bait. Valid, totally fair. Clem abused not quite a similar idea because Solar took it as his fourth, but Clem really was able to abuse that position with Hellions and a push through the middle of the map here. And for now, the SCV is going to see, hey, wait a minute, there's no natural here whatsoever, but he doesn't check the main base. He's not going to see the gas timing. He's not going to see the pull timing. Instead, beelining right back down to the gold base because this is Equilibrium, and you know what's up.
Wow, this is actually really big. Okay, so he checks for the creep, confirms that there's no weird 12-pull Roach Ravager, nothing like that. A lot of things happening right now. Clem does not see that his opponent was gasless from the main and is going to start mining the high-yield gas base. Now he will figure it out. Roach Warren coming in from Serral. This is a super interesting play. And the bunker from Clem to intercept units between the bases. This is already a very maybe unexplored scenario for Clem. Oh, an attempt to surround the Reaper, not able to get it. There is going to be a second Reaper popping out from Clem. This is so different from a normal ZVT already.
You know, it's funny, I was talking to Serral before this series. He's like, well, you know what? The reason I don't play in part is because Zerg has to be tricky. Now, Zerg has to hide some things, and well, in this game, seems like Clem has hit some things as well, but drones are going down here. This is really nice. The problem is, you have Reapers steadfast against a bunch of Roaches on the other side, and actually nothing else. Everything's in production right now. Eventually, you're going to be able to build Marines or whatever that tech lab is on, that reactor's on, but Reapers don't kill Roaches all that fast.
No, but Cyclones do, and that is going to be the next phase of this. Serral will be able to eventually clean up this bunker. Good juggling right there with the SCV from Clem, but this is an overwhelming number of Roaches. And salvage, not able to get the salvage there. For a second, it looked like he might have, but will be able to get the cleanup. Serral, that is. Nice save on the drones from Serral. And with the Ling slipping across the map from Serral, picking off that one SCV in the natural. Oh my God, the reactor, holy moly. Holy moly, he almost got that.
Yeah, but he didn't, and that's the important thing. I like what's happening with the Reapers here as well. They're not going to help out in the defense in the slightest, but you keep him outside that gold base. It continues to be pressure to force Serral to multi-prong, to deal with not only the attack, but this harass on the other side. And you talk about Cyclones, again, they are that good answer. You get up to 4, up to 6, and this Roaches, they're not going to do a ton, so Serral already, he knows what's up. He's got that third base on the way, but you do feel, even with the power, even with the economic advantage that gold base happens, Serral needs to get something done with this.
Yeah, he certainly does, and he is committing pretty hard. Clem, fortunately, did go into a third and fourth Cyclone. This is going to be a very aggressive attack. Already one Cyclone going down. That is huge. This is a very powerful attack with the high-yield gas, and we do see some very nice corrosive vials zoning his opponent back on the rim. Gets another Cyclone. This is already so much damage. We are going to see a very, very tenuous defense, if at all. Corrosive Vials finding even more workers. I do like the way that Clem has pulled the SCVs to kind of force Serral in towards the high ground, but that command center is getting low, and with the Overlord providing high ground vision, this looks so deadly.
High ground vision baits out a Cyclone lock-on as well, so these Ravagers, they're not dying just yet, and a big vial. 9 workers go down here, and of course you're not mining on the command center. Finally, Clem's gonna deal with this. Finally, he forces this back, but you talked about Cyclones. Steadfast, I thought there are 2 Marines on the map. He doesn't even really force it.
I mean, yeah, this has not actually been fully cleaned up yet. Like, this is so much damage. We have seen a ton of workers go down, a ton of Cyclones go down, and Serral is on the gold base behind this. Now, it obviously was a very dedicated attack. You talked about it needing to get damage done. It has gotten that damage done and then some. But that was so scary and Clem survived it. I really am impressed with both players. One, for the strategy from Serral and the execution, but two, for Clem just staying alive, and he's on 3 CCs.
That he is, but Serral's got his 4th base on the way at the same time, and I want to go back to this Cyclone idea for a second. It is very much the unit that has defined the meta here. This is going to get an Overlord, but Cyclones are not quite the end-all, be-all anti-roach deck that they were before the patch when they did all that bonus damage to armor. They're good, absolutely, but we saw how little health they had. They died very quickly if the Roaches, Ravagers got on top of them, and they didn't kill things quite as quickly as we're used to.
I don't think that's the fault of the Cyclones, though. I think that's the fact that there was like, what, 12 or 13 units there. If anything, the fact that he's able to retarget instantly and he doesn't have to worry about the lock-on, and it's, you know, he's able to react with them out, the Cyclone is definitely better prepared to deal with that. And I would go so far as to say that if Clem hadn't built a 3rd and 4th Cyclone, he would have straight up died to that, no matter how good the defensive micro was. But he is still going to have to overcome a massive deficit right there. We are going to see Serral. He's not going to take a page out of Dark's book just yet and go for that 66 drone Roach Ravager, well, pretty much Roach Ravager all in that we saw in game number 4. But he will instead go for the Infestation Pit, the Baneling Nest, the Ling Speed, and the next stage of this game. Clem, he needs to get a lot done with his counter drop.
And while he does have a Cyclone, that kills drones very quickly. He can snipe Queens as well. But a couple Roaches are already here, so Clem, instead of getting that economic advantage, getting damage done like that, he's going to trade some Marines for not even a Roach, really. And this attempt, this idea, this possibility to get back in the game, it's not going to be enough. Now, Roaches on the other side, luckily, there's a tank on what looks like the high ground, and that will force these back. Serral, I like the idea, but Clem's a little bit too ready.
Yeah, that was still such a nice play from Serral. And in the main base, there was a nice little Ravager morph against the Cyclone's lock-on, able to keep that alive. Brilliant, brilliant little micro maneuvers from both players, and it does... it's interesting. I was talking to Rainer in the back, just a very quick ask. I was like, who do you think wins this series? He's like, Serral, you know, obviously supporting his fellow Cabal member and, of course, supporting his teammate. But I said, easy? Question mark? And he's like, no, not easy, not easy. But it will depend a lot on the first game. And both players are bringing an extremely high-level play to this first game.
That they are. Now, you would look at the supply for the moment, you say, wow, Serral's in this great spot. He's up 20 army supply. But again, remember, as Serral is still in a solid spot, he's got his 5th base up, his hive is just about done, adrenal glands, whether he wants to go to ultras or just get Vipers and stay on this lower tech. A lot of that is in the Roaches, a lot of that is in the Ravagers. Clem does have the opportunity to make something happen with this 1-1 before the rest of the tech, before Baneling Speed's done, before +1 attack is done, before +2 armor is done, before all of this stuff that Serral has committed to is fully on, really able to do something.
Yeah, and he needs to get something. He will get the +1 melee. That's quite a nice pickoff. And it wasn't the farthest along, but it's better than nothing for sure. Still, Serral does maintain a solid lead, but Clem is making, well, right there, nice little maneuver, and he, most importantly, didn't overcommit, didn't lose a lot of stuff. Serral will end up having a little bit of this creep getting cleaned up, but once more, he's going to push this back. Clem does need to keep Serral on the back foot for a long time as we see those Vipers coming out, as we see the Ultralisk coming out, and as we see Clem not getting too far along on his 2-2, just now starting that +2 armor.
Yeah, I really like this Ultralisk idea coming out of Serral. He understands that if Clem wants to win this game, he's going to nickel and dime, make a lot of bio, make up for it. He's not going to have Ghosts for a while, Marauders not for a while, 2-2 not for a while, as these Banelings, no, Clem's in time, they're not going to get anything. And is that a big expenditure? It's 6 Banes, it's something. But Clem making sure that he doesn't die here, making sure that he gets closer to his upgrades, to Drilling Claws, to 2-2, to that 4th base eventually, to maxing out. That's what he's got to do right now.
Yeah, this is a scenario where Clem doesn't win the game with that cleanup, but he prevents himself from falling further and further behind, putting himself into an even worse position. And the fact that this is Equilibrium does mean that if this game goes super long, there's a very good opportunity for Clem to force a split map scenario where those Liberators, where those Ghosts, where those Siege Tanks, where those Widow Mines, those Sensor Towers become so much stronger. One of really the only maps in the pool where I think that's actually a true option, but he's going to have to survive a big attack like this.
Adds a big tech, Lightning Clouds on top of one of the tanks, but still 2 on the high ground. 1 gets abducted, and this 4th base for now seems to get broken. Banelings on the Marines on the left side. Clem looking elsewhere, I guess. He didn't have that follow-up micro, and that's where he was looking from the north side here. Blinding Cloud doesn't get a ton. On the right side, Marines getting more, and Clem seems like he's gonna hold on, but Morlings are gonna start to arrive. The second wave, Steadfast, the second wave of the Zerg makes this a lot harder.
It certainly does, and Serral by no means has expended his whole bank. He's got a ton of larva, a ton of money still in the bank. It's not massive bank, but it is enough to keep that aggression up. Great job from Clem, though. He didn't collapse. Obviously lost a few units. It wasn't, you know, in a perfect world, you don't lose anything, but that's just not how that works at this level of play. So Clem, I think, is going to be happy there to, 1, maintain the base, and 2, maintain most of his SCVs, only losing, I think, 2 during that exchange. Very well done.
Yeah, interesting thing, though, as we talk about that fight, Serral actually traded better. Off creep into a Terran defensive position, and Serral actually killed more by a couple hundred minerals, some gas. That's not what you expect, but now here come the Ultras, and Serral at the very least, look at that fungal, where'd that even come from?
That was a lot of damage on both armies. Huge Widowmine to kick things off, killing a ton of Lings, but that Infestor suddenly out of nowhere, seemingly out of nowhere, getting a lot done. We do see the Widowmine drop on the bottom side of the map. Gonna be able to find a few drones, more than a few, 8 drones going down in that picture-in-picture. Serral reloads for the next attack. Nice unburrow right there from Clem, but it will still allow Serral to get the kill. He's gonna try and crack this planetary. The Ultras and Roaches holding the army on the top side. Banes and an Ultralist killing on the bottom, and he's gonna deny that new command center. That's huge. At the main fight, this is looking very dangerous for Clem, and he made the good hold initially, but this one, well, this is the start of the Terran's turtle cracking.
At the very least, he was able to snipe the Ultra on the backside. At the very least, he snipes the Vipers down, so that's something. But yeah, losing this 4th base coming out of Clem, he needed that shot in the arm, that economy adrenaline that a gold base gives, and losing the planetary, losing, what was it, 14 SCVs, something like that. Clem still has a shot in this game, but he can't keep doing things like that.
Well, he can, yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to deal with that and the loss of that gold base, and specifically the fact that he wasn't able to save that building command center. It was at like 99%. If that finishes, he's able to lift it up and immediately start mining from that gold base again, but Serral caught in just before it. I think he's even got a burrowed unit on the gold. Nice little Liberator harass coming in. Yeah, there we go, that Roach. Nice little Liberator harass coming in from Clem. Another big Widowmine shot, but Serral, he's going to deny the 4th once more.
That he will, and this time, though, Clem's on the high ground. Maybe he can make something happen. Watch the Widowmines. They're not going to get much for now. And Serral continues to run in here, continues to get more value. Ultra from the right side looking to join the fray, and Clem forced back so far. Now the Ghosts are going to get behind the army, maybe get that snipe off, but they don't have time. The Banelings cancel it all, so this time, finally, Serral breaks through, goes up 1-0 in this semifinals.
Yeah, that was a textbook set of plays from Serral to not allow Clem to stabilize on that 4th base. The first fight looked pretty good, pretty promising from Clem. He made a great hold, but the second fight, Serral got all the things he needed to do. He did a really nice army split where Clem was microing on the top side, and Serral was just able to knock out that base. Never let Clem truly back into this game.
Not at all, but now, moving forward a little bit further, and if the game one, if Equilibrium was Serral's map pick, now it's on to Hard Lead. It's a different map. It's not weird, is the thing. It's a game that's a little bit more standard, and honestly, yes, we saw Clem bunker the natural. We saw Serral take the gold base like that. If I want to talk about what I think Clem needs to do to win this series, it's getting into that comfort zone, that groove of three command centers and Hellion Banshee and heavy aggression coming out of Clem that has won him, well, I'm not going to say so many games against Serral because no one wins so many games against Serral, but more than pretty much anyone else.
Yeah, if I had to pick one player to go up against Serral, I would choose to invent cloning and put another Serral up against him. But of the players we actually have available, man, that was such a sexy fungal.
Oh, man.
Of all the players we actually have available, Clem is absolutely on the short list. And I mean, maybe after today, he will be my #1 pick. But for this one, Clem, he just needs to refocus. Even though he survived the early game, he had that 3CC. We talked about how he was still in the game. He was definitely in a deficit. And honestly, I think he should just be thinking, I was playing with house money after that first game, after that first hold, because that was a very difficult position. Serral never fumbled the bag, and he held his lead, even if it wasn't a massive one, all the way through. We're getting into Hard Lead for game #2.
Yeah, and in the upper left here, in the red, he's up a game off a crazy opening. Let's see what he's got in store for us this time. From Basilisk Gaming, it's Serral.
And his opponent. Down 1-0 in the series, but still looking pretty damn good. It is Team Liquid's Clem.
You know, Steadfast, if I want to look at this series, I look at how Serral's reacting or how he's planning this game. This reminds me of one series. Serral versus Clem, Masters Coliseum. We're starting to see him do interesting builds. Starting to see him go the 8-minute, or actually before 8-minute ultra build, but all of these 15-14 gas cancel builds, roach builds, weird timings, start to really open the playbook a little bit when it really truly matters.
Yeah, and I mean that's been characteristic of Serral's play for the last, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. He really started doing that. I remember there was a series versus a laser that he ended up losing 3-2. But it was a series where he had just started mixing in cheesing a lot more, and people were like, Serral, like, is everything okay? And he's like, well, I need to retool. And, you know, anyone who's worked in manufacturing knows that when retooling happens, your production goes down a little bit. But Serral is back better than ever. He is now a fully complete player, and that gives him opportunities to do some really big mix-ups like what we saw in game number 1 and what we might potentially see in game number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, for Clem here, this is a map that he can go and just play as he likes to play. Get the natural, get the third base, get Hellions, Banshees, maybe a Liberator if he doesn't want to go full Hellion Banshee, not just yet. Get that third base and get himself set up. Get that economic engine set up for the mid game, for where he really does thrive, where he came to prominence as this guy that could beat Raynor, that could beat Serral in that macro game.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been one of those players that prefers the macro game. He has a ton of confidence in himself. He will mix things up a little bit, but definitely wants to win in the later stages. Now, we will see Serral skipping the Lings in this game number 2. Like I said, it is not a sure thing that you want to go for them, but the big thing about this Eric opener, this Extractor Trick 15 hatch, is you can skip the Lings. You're able to get those queens out 10 seconds earlier than you normally would, which means as this Reaper shows up, as we just saw, even if it's a little bit of a nuisance to deal with, you can still drop that Extractor morph or Spore Crawler morph or whatever it is, save that worker, and you don't have to worry about too much. Now, when you see Clem keeping the SCV on the other side of the map, Serral, will he be able to get this queen down to the low ground in time? The answer is going to be no. So Clem, he's going to be able to deny this third base for quite some time.
Yeah, second drone goes down here as well, and that just seems like a mistake from Serral. It's not like I guess he's gonna try to take it, but Reaper sits on top here. Serral, his third base is gonna be miles behind what it wants to be, and he gets it. And he gets it.
Very nicely done right there. Robin Hood Terran gets it done with the snipe on the accuracy. Very well done from Clem, and that's not the biggest of deals, but it is a huge confidence booster. That feels really, really good. And we got aim high to see the mouse accuracy of Clem up against the other two 99s from Serral. What was that, power and form?
Yes, exactly. Now, it makes sense. Clem aimed high in that fight. The Reaper was south of the drone, so you aim high a little bit to knock things down, but again, massive play there, and it makes sense that Clem is one of these fastest players, that these two players are #1 overall based on how players ranked each other, based on these empirical numbers, on speed, on accuracy, on whatever it is. And if game 1, you talked about it, you want to see Clem just wipe it off, say, this is fine, I was down early, it doesn't feel great. Getting that third base, delaying it like that tells us that, yeah, Clem, he's already forgotten about game 1.
Yeah, no, I mean, he has certainly forgotten about that, but he is going to end up being caught out of position here. Nice stack up on the SCVs, but he will open the door to let the Lings in. It is going to be an effort to save these SCVs. Nice maneuvering with the Hellions, gets into the pocket, avoids losing both Hellions, but that is a ton of worker damage. 9 SCVs going down. There was more Lings in the natural. This is a massive boon for Serral in game number 2.
Yeah, Steadfast, he may have forgotten about game 1, but he also forgot about the Link run-by opportunity. And we talked about getting comfortable. Reaper, Hellion, Banshee, all of these things that are just, that's Clem. In a nutshell, that's Clem. 3CC, that's Clem. Losing 10 SCVs like this, forcing all of your aggression back home onto your side of the map where you can't stay on Serral's side, where you can't lean into him. Well, Clem, he's going to have to find another angle.
He certainly is. Now, once again, we got to mention, he's still on 3CCs. He kept the Hellions alive. I hope he's repairing those up back at home. But Serral absolutely had his game plan work out. There we go. Love to see that. Spore Crawler not quite done, but Cloak wasn't done. It finishes up, the Spore finishes at the exact same second as Cloak. Serral, you know, I think he might have a future in this there Vidya game.
Yeah, he might be pretty good at it. You know, might understand how things happen, but at the very least, there's not going to be any detection on this north side. Overseer's on the way. Not here yet. And actually, these Banshees, third base was denied. Fourth base gets killed. And the Hellions, think about it. They're not going to go. Not too many Queens. But even killing that fourth base on top of delaying the third base as much as Clem did, you lose 10 SCVs, but that's still pretty good.
Yeah, Serral's drone count is not amazing right now. He's on 52 drones. Did just fire up a handful more, but Clem, ooh, if he had gone right in with the Hellions, he had a big opportunity. Serral did get a quick drone pull, but actually Serral sending the drones back to mining a little bit early there, starting to stumble a little bit against the Hellion Banshee multi-prong.
Now, Clem did miss an opportunity, Steadfast. That was a second dead Queen that could have gone down. You stick on it for half a second. It had one Banshee shot remaining. Even still, he snipes a Queen. He gets a couple drones. He has this pressure on the map. Clem's creep or Serral's creep spread, not quite where he would like to be. And this is what we're looking for. Again, forcing Serral to stay on Serral's side of the map, not allowing him to spread creep wherever he wants, not allowing him to do any more. But even still, Steadfast, that's a lot of bailings on the right side. Serral's got an idea.
He certainly does, and you talk about playing a little bit off of what you normally do. This is the kind of thing that Serral, he's started mixing in, and it does make him so much more difficult to play against. This is a little bit more like Dark, with the heavy counterattack style, with the constant aggression. It's not to say Serral's never done it before, but it is something that will catch Clem off guard. No SCV pull, the Banelings get 9 SCVs. Beautiful run by from Serral, and puts him back up another 14 workers. Ooh, the Lings will try and get the wraparound on the Hellions to come back home. Clem, though, able to micro his way through, so at least Clem gets the full cleanup, and all of a sudden he finds himself up over 20 army supply. Does Serral have enough to hold? There's no Banelings on the map. There's only 4 Banes. At least Bailing speed is done, and that's important here. Bailing speed was so fast for Serral. That's why it caught Clem off guard, but you're right, Steadfast. With Stim here, with all of this bio, no medevacs there, not with the army yet. Combat shields not done, 1-1 not done. And yes, this is a good opportunity for Clem, but I don't know that he's gonna recognize that this is necessarily as good as it is. It is going to be scary. Yeah, Serral, okay, he did morph in a bunch more Banes now, but he was a little bit late to do so with the Hellbats. This is going to be scary. Stim is done. Combat Shield's 1-1 on the way. 1-1 for Serral about to complete. Great pre-sped on the Hellbats, and they are really zoning this army out. We are going to see Serral coming in for the attack. Widowmine being retargeted. All the Banelings on the bottom side go down, but on the top side, just enough to force the pickup. Very well done, but on the counterattack, 10 SCVs going down. Still, that was an amazing hold from Serral off of no creep spread in a very scary situation. It's still 20 army supply Steadfast. It's still a lot of power here in the Queens. They're running out of energy, so that beef line, that beef wall that keeps you safe is going to start to get gunned down very quickly. And on the left side here, Hellbats mean Lings don't matter all that much. Banshee's trying to target the Bailings. They're not going to get it. And Clem, he's not going to get this pressure. It's not going to work out quite as well as he would like on the left side, but the drop in the mineral line, Lings can't get on top, and this is a little bit more like it. Oh, this is fantastic for Clem. He finds his opponent without these spores. Beautiful target fire from Clem. One side, 2 sides, doesn't matter. He's gonna micro perfectly on both. And now it's just Queens on their lonesome against these Stimmed Marines. This is looking very good for Clem. Lings will come in and do force the pickup, but he can now just go straight up into the main base. Serral is under so much pressure from the young Frenchman. 7 dead Queens this game. That power that's keeping Serral alive is just not there anymore. And yes, Clem is forced back out of the main base. Yes, Serral's 2-2 is a little bit faster than Clem's, but when that timing equalizes again, this tempo, this power that Clem has is really nice. And by the way, he's not committed to 3 bases. 4th base floating over right now. He has avenues, or I guess being built, excuse me. He has avenues, he has opportunities, and he's gonna get an 8th Queen. He sure does, as well as a few extra drones. Serral is in position with a few units. Will he be able to take the fight? There's a big minefield. Nice attempt to trigger the Widow Mines, and he does trigger most of them. But on the counterattack, we are going to see the Lings coming on in. Widow Mines burrowing on up. Oh, beautiful hot pickup from Clem. Dodges the friendly fire and triggers a huge Widow Mine on the top side to counterattack. The action is everywhere. Serral, though, finding 13 SCVs during the chaos. But Clem is not out of this yet. But the burrowed Banes, oh my God, how did he even see that?
Clem's just on another level, and when you want to talk about this as well, Serral, he's got a big bank, 800 minerals, 430 gas, all those queens going down, having to stay at the front line, spending their energy. Well, the Widowmine here. Serral, are you ready? It's gonna get 5. But again, Serral's running out of larva. The queens aren't able to inject for a little bit. Maybe now it's gonna stabilize, but he doesn't have that production engine. He doesn't have the ability to make the army that he could afford.
No, he certainly does not, and he does have another great counterattack on the other side of the map that does find a command center. Great cancel right there from Serral. And he is keeping his opponent on 3 bases, but Clem is just absolutely all over Serral in terms of the pressure. There is so much aggression coming his way, and as a result, Serral has not been able to add on the Hydra Den. He just finishes this infestation pit. Looks like a huge Widowmine shot right there. Do you have how many kills? 31 kills! My God! Failing target fire, very nice right there. But Serral will still force the pickup.
That he will, and now into the main base we go. Meanwhile, Clem, again, he's never just in one spot at the same time. And the Marines, they're going to split off here. The Widowmines, they're going to get some of the Lings, but importantly, the Baneling count's not high enough. And into the main base here, there's the Hive. Lings are going to go down. Serral doesn't have quite enough army, not yet on the right side. Dodges the Banes, but will get connections at the end. And Clem, it looked like he might have won 2 fights on either side. Instead, he will lose the main base, not win that fight, but he's going to get this north side pickup, run away, gets more value. But again, the problem is, was that 4th base canceled again? Where is that 4th?
4th base is on the way back home. We've got it, yeah. I think he put it maybe in the main. Yeah. Serral's counterattacks have forced this out, so at least that's a small win for Serral. But Clem has all the momentum right now. Clem did start up just that +3 weapons. He hasn't been on the greatest worker count for a while. Oh! Is that the same one? 53 kills on this Widowmine. Put him in charge of the whole Terran army. Make him an admiral. That Widowmine deserves a promotion.
Yeah, unfortunately, Widowmines, they're a little bit of robots. They don't have ranks. They just kill things. As now Widowmine looks for another shot. Doesn't get one this time. A little bit of friendly fire as well. So Clem, he's gonna get forced out. Serral, for the most part, dodging these mines fine, but that one little Widowmine steadfast, it's doing pretty good.
The little Widowmine that could, you know, I don't care if it's a robot, put him in charge anyways. Oh my God, it gets another 5 kills. Finally, no, the super Widowmine. Our army is now leaderless, but Clem, he'll pick it up regardless. We are gonna see more and more creep getting cleared to the middle of the map. Clem has had such a momentum advantage for so long now. This time, Serral is going to, well, not be able to get through on the counterattack, but Clem, his push is continuing to find value. He does step off creep, which I think is wise while he's dealing with a counterattack. There's action everywhere on Serral's side of the map. Clem will be able to, actually, no, he's not able to save that just yet. Man, there's just chaos everywhere, but I think Clem is still coming out way ahead, and I think he's got this game in hand.
Steadfast, this game has been so all over the place that we haven't really had a chance to breathe, and yeah, no chance to breathe at all. Clem ties it up.
No chance to breathe, no chance to collect our thoughts, and that's what Clem does to you. He just keeps hitting you. Such a good job, and look at that. He punched Serral right out of his chair. He's gone. It's over. Of course, Serral's just going to take a little break.
I mean, look, clearly that Widowmine is some ChatGPT 5.0, 6.0 on the target fire. Serral's, I guess he's GPT 7.0. You know, he's not even in the chair. It's just some crazy AI that wins every single tournament.
That was a brilliant display of multitasking from Clem. I do want to give massive credit to Serral because he was on the back foot for quite some time, and he was able to answer his opponent's play for such a long time. Oh God, that was such a nice play. That lack of a cancel on the 4th base definitely hurt. But man, what an action-packed game number 2. This series is already delivering.
It's so hard to look back at this game and identify. Game 1, we could say, hey, the roach timing, it got something, you know. We can point to a moment and say, yes, this is why Clem lost, this is why Serral won. In this game, I mean, maybe a 59-kill Widowmine, but in general, it's so hard to point out where it went wrong for Serral. He just got nickel and dime, paper cut out, the rising tide of the Team Liquid Terran. It just crested. It got to that full moon. It just got higher and higher. And eventually, Serral forgot how to swim.
Well, I mean, it's not so much that he forgot how to swim as he ran out of space in the little...
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it felt like he was in a cylinder, and eventually there was just no more room to swim. He just ran out and got drowned. But very well done by Clem. It's going to be Alcyone for game number 3. We're back to Clem's map pick. this is going to be a very difficult, actually no, this is back to Serral's map pick. Yeah. This is going to be a difficult, difficult map for both of them. I don't know. This is just a tough series. They're both amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right when you talked to Raynor. You said that, yeah, maybe Serral wins, but it's not easy. And it's certainly not easy for this man in the upper right. In the red for Basilisk, it's Serral.
And his opponent turning on the Jets when he needs it most for Team Liquid. It is Clem.
You know, Steadfast, I want to take a moment here as we're solidly into our series now to acknowledge just how loud the crowd's been, how awesome the support for both Clem and Serral is. I mean, I'm casting with one ear cup off so I can listen to them. It's fantastic here.
The vibe is just amazing here. So much passion from this crowd, and it really reflects, I think, the community at large. We love this game so much. If we didn't, it wouldn't be alive 13 years later, because it is alive. It's not going anywhere. StarCraft 2, long live the game, and long live these two fantastic players. This rivalry is just heating up, and I am ready to see this chapter inked in the annals of history.
All right, enough pandering to the crowd. Let's talk about the game a little bit, because again, this is a setup where in game 1, Serral did something weird. He was able to make it happen. Game 2, Clem played a little bit more standard. He took his lumps, but he was able to get into that mid game, get into 2-2, get into 3-3, get himself into these positions where he ripped Serral asunder. And Alcyone is a map where maybe it's a little bit more constricted on the 4 bases, but your pushes through the middle of the map with that Xel'Naga tower, well, it can be pretty good for an aggressive Terran.
I mean, it certainly can, yeah. It's something where someone like Beyond or Bunny, those players that really love their 2-base aggression, those 3 racks, 5 racks pushes with siege tanks, +1 weapons, stim, combat shields, they can really get a lot of work done. But even Cure did it actually against Dark in the previous series. But that is not really the kind of thing that Clem likes to do as much. I would love to see him bust it out, but after watching game 2, I am more than okay with him just playing his game and saying, yeah, I can just out-trade Serral. I feel really, really confident, as he damn well should, because that game number 2, there was a lot of pressure from Serral early on, and it would have been really easy to crumble, but he didn't. The Ling counterattacks, while they got a lot of damage done, Clem was able to withstand, and he never let himself get out of that game.
Yeah, he got 10 SCV, certainly Serral did, but there was the counter punch, the 4th base gets canceled, the 5th base gets, or the 3rd base gets delayed. Really, really nice. Now, Serral will sneak a drone out this time. The 3rd base not nearly as delayed as it was in game number 2. So if we're keeping track here, it's already a bit better of a start for the Finnish Phenom.
I mean, yes and no. It's kind of a weird-ish start. I feel like this was as much a mind game as anything from Serral. Obviously, he didn't lose that drone, but he did represent the potential of opening up 2 bases. Serral has been doing that for a while, and maybe was trying to keep Clem guessing, maybe hoping that Clem might not drop a 3rd CC super fast. That's my guess right there. But of course, Clem did have the SCV on the 3rd base, so maybe it was just Serral saying, okay, you're going to contest this. I still want this pocket 3rd. I'm not going to let you force me take the line 3rd. I'll just get an extra queen a little earlier. Maybe take my base a little bit later. There's a couple layers to the mind games, but regardless, he didn't lose a drone, he didn't lose anything else, and you're right, it didn't put him behind, per se.
Yeah, you know, with this setup here, how effective Clem has been with the Reapers, with the power of that, at one point do we start to see Serral throw out the 2-base builds he's been doing, where you get a Roach War and you get 2 bases, you take your 3rd and 4th at the same time. Those builds he did, yes, it was a different patch, but those builds he did against Maru and Masters Coliseum, where if the opponent is going to be as aggressive as he is, and that's a single drone will fall. No,
he saved it. He saved it. He's too fast.
He's too fast for me even to see.
You can't even see it. Yeah, blindingly fast.
Absolutely.
You got to aim higher.
I do need to aim higher. Look higher, too. It works out.
Yeah, I mean, it actually was at the top of the screen. No, I thought that drone was going to go down, and then it just disappeared into the extractor, but it really does tell you how bloody fast these players actually are. Fantastic stuff. You talked about the Roach play. Yes, 2-base Roach, like you said, against Maru, specifically on, what was that big map? It was not Altitude. I always think it's Altitude.
There was, well,
Neo Humanity. Yeah. It's the one I hate the most. That's how I remember it. But Neo Humanity, guess which race I am. map where Serral just kind of did a 2-base Roach push and just ran Maru over. Serral, though, not going to be able to find that so much against Clem, and that's why Clem likes to open up this Hellion Banshee. It keeps you safe pretty much against everything as long as you're active with your scouts, and it just lets you play your game.
Yeah, tons of map control, tons of opportunity. If you can maybe get some damage done, that's always nice. It's Clem into the main base here, looking for the scout. Sees the lair timing, but will lose that drone on the other side. Now, hey, there's a drone. Well, a Roach actually won't go down, never mind. Hellions actually don't touch them all that much.
No, it takes a long time for Hellions to cook a Roach. You really gotta slow cook them. You know, 375, 2.5 hours. Put them in there, and eventually the Hellions will get the cooking done. But you really would prefer those Banshees for that more rapid burn. But we are going to see a Hellion run by potentially coming on in. Serral, though, no, he's got the Queens in position. Roaches, Clem thinks better of it.
Yeah, that's one thing Clem is so good at, though, about really threatening that, because he's going to be one of those few players that does try to make that happen. And the Lings are going to get this around here. These Hellions, the map control, it's mostly gone. Yeah, there are Banshees on the north side, but the Hellions, that harassment opportunity until 1-1's done, until Stim is done, until these medevacs are out on the map, that's not really going to be there anymore.
No, that was a fantastic pickoff for Serral. I wonder if he was almost baiting Clem just a little bit by showing the Roaches and hiding the Lings. Clem might not have been expecting that many Lings, and he was able to avoid losing literally every single Hellion, but I mean, he only gets away with one, and like you said, that's pretty much all the map control gone. Serral shooting up to 77 drones now. He's got the Infestation Pit, he's got the 1-1, the Roach speed on the way, and now a Hydra Den starts up. That looks like we are going to be potentially seeing very fast lurkers, and I wonder if Serral is going to go for some massive lurker drop play like he has done in a few matches recently.
Huh. This build that we see right now, 1-1 Roach into Quick Hive, into 2-2 ranged, into lurkers, is something that was becoming pretty popular at the start of the year, maybe. We saw it a lot, and then it really did fall off. That being said, well, we got a bunch of Overlords on the way here. Serral getting ready, but also a little bit supply block before that.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a supply block. Not the worst in the world, but definitely a little bit uncomfortable, and Serral's not going to be happy about that. He does hold himself to very high regard. A little bit of a trade in the middle of the map, but 3 Marines for a Roach. I mean, that does favor the Zerg ever so slightly, but it's a small potatoes trade. Still, Clem on the other side, he's like, okay, I got to equalize that. Let me kill 2 drones steadfast. Now we're even. Are we even? We're even. Good job from Clem with the counter damage. A nice scan, finds the hive timing. Won't see exactly when it was started. Ooh, he caught that lurker den, right? He can see that? He should be able to, but I just want to confirm. No! Oh, man. It's a lie. That looked like it was in range. Damn, so he actually doesn't see the lurker den. Won't know exactly when that's coming. Might be able to infer, but I don't think he saw the Hydra Den either, so maybe not. Might be thinking it's Lingbane, Roach, Ravager, Viper.
That is by far the more common way you play this. You open Roaches, then you're fine. You're safe against Cyclones and whatever it is early on, and then, oh, the wall's open. That doesn't feel good. There are a couple Marines, but they're not going to get a ton. At least the wall in the main base stays alive, and SCVs aren't dying too quickly for the moment, but that's going to change pretty quickly here. Everything from Clem is going to get forced back, but actually, he's not going to commit to it. He says, this is fine. You're going to take your damage. I'm on the other side of the map. Let me clean up some creep. I have a powerful army right now. I want to do something with it.
Yeah, but Serral's got those Vipers out. They just need to charge up energy. Clem cannot hesitate. He needs to go. He scanned. I think he sees that the lurkers were in production, but they're now done. And I don't know that there's much opportunity to try and push up this ramp. Clem, though, did just lose a lot of workers.
That he did, but with these lurkers there just clustered around the base, and another run by. If it's not good enough once, do it a second time. If Serral, well, if he wasn't confident about this earlier, he certainly is now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Clem, he can't break up the ramp into these sieged up lurkers. That is just not going to happen. They will have the range in a moment. Clem wisely going to back away, but this is a really nice setup for Serral. He's got his 2-2 on the way. He's adding on that Overlord speed as well as the adaptive talons. I think I'm going to keep my eyes peeled on that production tab, but I think we are going to see the Dropper Lords. There it is. That's a lot of Overlords right there. It could just be a big push at the front, but man, oh man, if he does get sieged up in the main with a bunch of Lurker, Roach, Ravager, Hydra, and specifically those Lurkers, this could be borderline impossible for Clem to clean up without ghosts.
That it is. At least Clem does have a Ghost Academy on the way. At least he's aware of what's happening. He saw this army on Serral's side of the map, so that buys him some time to develop a counterplay, to get concussive shells, to get marauders, to get ghosts. Oh, that's juicy. You can't do too many of those, Clem.
No, not in this situation. You certainly cannot. Lurkers are going to siege up behind the base, but a nice scan from Clem picks them off very quickly. Siege tanks will be able to deal with this counterattack quite well, but he still loses 2 tanks. Now, that actually is a not terrible trade for Clem. In context, obviously, it's a very good trade by the numbers, but a lot of those units that want to be sacked were the Roaches. Big Corrosive Bile does get quite a few Marines. And Serral was looking to trade these units out anyways. Obviously not necessarily the Lurkers, but the Roaches and Ravagers specifically. There it is. He's distracted his opponent, drawn him to the top side, and now we've got a massive Doom drop. He says, SC2, Brood War, we can combine them, put them together. Lurker drops in the main base, but the Vikings, oh, the read! But the Ling, he sees it! My God, these players are so high level.
How does he know? He didn't, I guess he maybe saw drops, and there we go, he's gonna find it. Now, not a ton should go down at the moment. Everything's gonna get released, but even still, the fact that he can deny this, the fact that he can prevent this, is such a big deal for Clem.
It is massive. You cannot overstate how difficult it is to deal with Lurkers on your production. If they get on top of the ramp, it's a disaster to deal with. Serral was looking for maybe if Clem had potentially mined out his own back minerals, and if he did, that could have really hurt Clem. But fortunately for Clem, he took the other base as his 4th, which means that there is no vulnerability there. Serral, though, he says, okay, this didn't work. He backed away. Obviously, it would have been a fool's errand to go into the main base with that drop once it was figured out. But he's got another plan. It's going to be a Nidus Worm. And I love that he was so quick to pivot.
Yeah, importantly, though, and I would have loved to see Clem really capitalize on this. That was a lot of Lurkers behind multiple lines of mineral walls. There was no good way for Serral to get that 15 odds, 20 odds supply of Lurkers from the right side to maybe a push from Clem on the left. So that would have been an opportunity. Can't quite take advantage of it. And now, well, the rocks, they're not even going to be properly defended. SCV falls, but Clem's going to be able to take this base. And now he sees the army a little bit, but the Zelnaga tower from Serral says, nah, we're going to back up a moment. And Clem has to run away. That's a massive blinding cloud, but he kites away and there are tanks on the high ground. So Serral can't take this fight yet.
Yeah, that was kind of just a zoning blinding cloud. It was a little bit of a weird one, too. Maybe afraid of some Baneling snipes. So he just kind of crosses his T's, dots his I's, says, no, you can't do this. But here comes the Overseer into the main base. There are a ton of missile turrets. There's Vikings in position, but the Nidus Worm will still go up. Quick reaction time for Clem on the land. He should be able to get the denial, but it is going to be Ling, Bane, Hydra just kind of causing nuisances in the middle of the map. Oh, okay, he does get the denial. That was actually very close.
By the way, I want to point something out from Serral here on that last attempted fight on the north side. As this tank gets abducted, fight happens. We'll hold on to that for a second here. Now the Marines, they're going to have to cut around blinding clouds. We'll force him back even further, but in that last attempted fight, Serral runs his Overlords forward, drops Changelings on right behind the army, ideally trying to make sure that he can get that connection. Doesn't happen. Clem's on top of it, Micro's around. That could have found the value. Even still, though, Clem at 1.6 command centers on the way at the same time. He knows the way this is going. He knows that he's just got to get as much money as possible. So buckle in, folks. This one is going a little longer.
It certainly is, and considering the situation, after those Ling run-bys, after the Lurkers pushed back the initial attack from Clem, he was not deterred. He was able to kind of adjust on the fly. Meanwhile, though, very nice move from Serral. He drops the Nidus Worm thanks to that Changeling right next to the tank. I think we're going to see the unburrow. Oh, no. Lurkers in the main base. It's red alert in Clem's main.
At the very least, they're a couple liberated. They're sieged up on top of everything. Viper runs forward, I guess. And Serral actually, he's not going to get it. Counter drop. But okay, onto the fourth base here. This is what Serral really wants, trying to break this down. Baneling's looking for the shots. The Planetary stays alive. And not enough. The repair is not there in time. Because even if the Planetary survived, all the SCVs went down. There wasn't enough there for a repair. Serral, he gets what he wants, but that drop in the main base, it was shut down.
Yeah, the Nidus Worm in the main base denied by the very quick reaction time from Clem. He counter-dropped his own main with a bunch of those medevacs and prevented the lurkers from sieging up on top of that ramp. If they get on top of the ramp, on top of the production, the Terran can end up just finding themselves suddenly and instantly choked out from a really great defensive position. Oh my God, that scan missed the Burrowed Infestor by 1/4 of an inch. And like the Mighty Ducks say, 1/4 of an inch can make all the difference.
Importantly here, we're seeing 6 Liberators at a time as Clem gets really into that late game. Serral doesn't want to let him get there though, as more Lings, more Banes on this side. Again, another Planetary is going to try to stay alive. The tanks are actually body blocking, but it's not going to be enough. Even still, it's 5 dead SCVs this time. The economy stays alive. There are more command centers available. Serral needs to keep doing this to keep the economy down, but it's not as bad as it could be.
No, certainly not. And every time, Clem has a command center ready to replace, ready to get back in there and continue mining once again. Serral did something really nice, by the way, with that Planetary bust. He never attacked with the Banelings. He just ran them around the edges so that instead of actually having them die from, him attacking, they soaked up damage. Just a little small move from Serral. Obviously, we expect moves like that, but it is a nice little move, and he did really cup and hug that Planetary Fortress well. Clem, though, is trading very cost efficiently on the defense, and he is able to continue to mine on 5 bases.
Before that last fight, he was up 5K. Now he's up 7K.
Oh, that reaction time. My God, he's fast.
There's a reason that he is literally the best player, at least according to our power rankings, but I guess Clem is as well, so that's not even super relevant. That being said, tons of Liberators on the map right now, and this is one of those innovations that we've seen from Clem since the patch very recently that has allowed him to take games off of Serral to really stretch him to the limit on the new play. Liberators, you wouldn't think they'd be all that great against Ling Bane, but the untouchability, the fact that, well, you have to commit Viper energy onto them, that Hydras have to run into range, it makes the fight so much more complicated.
It certainly does, and in that top side, on that bottom side, if you don't either have Corruptors, some kind of flying unit, Mutas, or a Viper to abduct, it is such a pain in the booty to deal with. As we can see, once again, the Liberator comes back in. It's going to be able to deny even a little bit more mining. Lurkers on the right side do get scanned out. Good job from Clem. Serral on the counterattack. He is in range of the sensor tower. There's a pretty big wall here to get through and double Planetary, but Serral is going to have enough to do it. I think the Banes should be able to get this base. Probably going to get both. Oh, can he get the repair? Hold.
I mean, he's going to keep this one alive. One Planetary is dead.
Oh, he keeps it alive.
I think an Orbital went down, so realistically, Orbital's probably more valuable than Planetaries at this point. Again, just in terms of mules, scans, the ability to reposition if you lose a Planetary. But I want to talk about what Serral's got on the building tab next. There's a Greater Spire on the way, realizing that this Hydraling Bane style by itself is not enough to break Fortress Clem.
No, it's not yet, and while a lot of the map has been gobbled up by Serral, he's got a fantastic bank. He hasn't been able to find that decisive killer blow. And the Broodlords, they certainly could be it. The upgrades for Clem are very good on the Thors. 2-2 on the Thors and 1-2 on the Vikings. Well, in this case, Liberators. But you definitely want Thors, you definitely want Vikings to deal with those Broods. It's going to be really difficult without them. But with 16 Liberators, I mean, there is a world where the Vipers and Infestors are not on top of them. We could potentially see a bunch of Broodlords get blown out of the sky. That's going to be potential for that. I don't think it's going to happen, but there is a possibility.
That it is. Another Nidus goes down in this bottom side, the 6 o'clock base. Serral, no, you don't attack into that one. Too many Liberators, too many tanks. And Serral, again, at this point, I think we're going to start to see him try to trade out a little bit, buy room for the Corruptors, buy room for the Broodlords, but this Nidus finally gets up here, and that is 5 Lurkers doing so much damage to the mineral line, so much damage to the Planetary, but the repair is going to be fine for now. 1 Lurker stays there just to really enforce the will, and the Cracklings on the north side. Again, more bases get lifted. Serral, all of a sudden, he's all over the place.
He certainly is, and he is finding value. He is picking away at Clem. And for the last little bit, the resources lost has not gone much more in favor of Clem, only 1,000 more. And we do have to remember, Serral is out mining Clem. He's got a gigantic bank, but if you can't break the Terran, if you can't kill those ghosts, you can't, smash through the economy, it does get difficult to end the game. Lingbane Hydra on the bottom side is going to look for a little bit of an opening. We got Clem repositioning. It looks like some siege tanks. A lot of Liberators sieging on up, but the Blinding Clouds are very good from Serral. He will be able to push the entire Bio Army back, and the Banelings will just smash through this planetary fortress. Clem will be able to hold, and his supply really didn't dip much and only loses 6 SCVs. He's going to start mining from that base very quickly again. That was not so bad for Clem.
No, it really wasn't. The Blinding Cloud got a lot of tanks, certainly, but there was 1 or 2 tanks on the backside that just fired the entire time, got so much damage done. Now, Clem has to deal with these lurkers. That's a problem. It has denied multiple orbitals, multiple bases, but now Clem on the map, rampant on the map once again. The Freedom Zones are untouchable, and this is going to be a dead base. And while Serral has had the map for the last 20 minutes, he hasn't taken a base from Clem. That's the big deal here. Eventually, Clem's going to be able to mine out of every base on the map unless Serral does something to stop it. And at that point, the inefficiencies, they're really going to start to show. But now, Lingbane on the left side, nothing actually really deals with this. It's all in the air, and the Corruptors in the sky as well. Well, for Dark, they worked out. Are they going to work out for Serral?
That is a good question. We are going to see the Lingbane flooding on forward. SCVs will get absolutely massacred. A bunch of them do escape, but 24 having gone down in the last little bit. The counterattack from the Liberators, though, finding 13 drones, and it is still alive, completely denying the top side base, and the bottom side, it was taken out as well. Serral's income has been heavily hampered, but Clem has not won this game yet. That is a really big fluctuation in the last little bit. Serral, though, despite the giant bank, he hasn't found that killer blow yet.
All right, so for Dark, 23 Corruptors were what it took to kill Cure in game number 1. Serral's at 17 here. Looking to dive on top of the Liberators, dive on top, the Fungal from behind, and here comes the Banes. They're gonna knock everything away, and finally, I would have thought Serral was going to take a good fight, but he's forced back, and now the snipes go down. So many Corruptors fall, and this should allow the Viking Liberator to take the fight with the splash, but they're just dying snipes again, and all the Corruptors die. Clem will hold.
Clem holds the line. The upgrades on the Liberators were bloody ridiculous. 2-3. I think it finished during the fight versus, what was that, 2-0, 2-1 Corruptors? So even though the Corruptors have that base 2 armor, the upgrade advantage for Clem helping so much, and Serral, he has got a bit of a larva issue, which is unfamiliar territory for him. He's on 155 supply and 3,500, but is it gonna be Broodlords? What is gonna be the attempt to end the game? Clem has really pumped out Vikings to try and survive what could be a massive transition into Broods, but you know what Vikings don't do so hot against? Ultras. And we have got a ton of Ultras potentially on the way. The Ultra Cavern just completed. Chitinous plating starting up, and there it is. Serral, he wasn't unable to spend his money. He was saving supply for that 4 Ultra switch. And Vikings, well, we've all seen the cinematic. Don't do so hot against Ultras.
No, they really don't, but there are still 16 Ghosts on the map. There are still Liberators with +2 on the map. So yeah, Vikings, they don't do all that much, but they will be able to zone, hopefully, against the Corruptors, allow the Liberators to siege up, allow them to put those Freedom Zones down, buying time, maybe, for these Ghosts to get the snipes off that they need. And honestly, my eyes, they're on the unit that's underground, these Infestors that Serral has been so good with for getting the Fungals. And if he can get one shot on those Ghosts all clumped together, every single thing falls apart.
It certainly could. Clem looking to secure the 7th base on the map. Serral does not want to let his opponent get up to this. Oh my god, the Infestor underneath. Widowmine will eventually burrow on up. Scan finds the Infestor. Oh, and the Vikings barely escape the fungal growth. Only 2 of them getting hit. That could have been a ton of damage, even with the nerf. But here comes the Ultras. Will this be enough? There's so many Ghosts, and they snipe those Ultras like they're nothing. Without the fungal growth to hold them down, it is so tough. But the Vikings do get parasitic bombed in the air. Corruptors gonna try and keep moving forward. Widowmine's getting some big shots on that cloud of Banelings. Serral, I mean, he has not broken through yet, even though this doesn't look... He's still got a lot of stuff here. He can't find the connection on those Ghosts. Oh, the Infestor on the top side, but the Scan finds it. Killed by the Widowmine on the top side.
You know, Steadfast, I knew Clem's Widowmines were good. I didn't know they were that good as another one goes down. And the snipes in that Sim City of those extra command centers not even done on the way. The Fungal's good. Certainly the Baileys are going to try to find their way in now. Watch the Widowmines. Watch for them. They're not going to get the shots off. Not just yet. But the cloak goes down. And Clem is dominating this fight. There's a Remax. Absolutely. 12 Corruptors, Lings, Ultras on the way. More Infestors as well. But the later this game goes, yes, Clem, 33 SCVs, but that means 157 army supply, and Serral, his bank is sorely, and I mean sorely, depleted.
It is completely gone at this point compared to where it was. At one point, I think he was up to at least 6K, 5K. I think it was up to like 8,000, 6,000 maybe at one point, but the resources lost. Clem is unbreakable. 22,000 resources lost difference nearly. Massive, massive holds. Clem is just unbreakable.
That he is, but Serral's gonna try to break him again, and as we talk about resources lost in banks, Clem also doesn't have one, so if he loses a fight badly, he won't be able to remax. His parasitic bombs go down. Clem's splits on that are not good. Banelings again continue to force the ghosts here on the back line, but again, Clem, he's forced back, but the snipes on the backside are gonna make this a little bit harder. That being said, that army supply lead, 157, it was shut down quite a bit, but it cost Serral nothing in the bank.
It cost Serral so much for that. The Air Army did go down, but Serral, he doesn't have the money for a Broodlord switch anymore. He is so poor, he is so broke at this point, and Clem, he is gonna start pushing forward on this bottom side. He will or should be able to secure this base. If he can get this 7th base up and running, I don't see a way for Serral to do it, but for the moment, Clem does not have a whole lot of income. If we look at that income tab, oh my god, that Infestor. That Infestor,
no.
the Unburrow, the Fungal. Oh, he gets it! Does he have the follow-up though? The medevac pickup, like angels in the sky. He says, we've got you, buddy. But we are gonna see the Lings and Ultras pushing forward. Corruptor's gonna find a ton of this. Is there detection for the Ghost? No, there is not. There has been Overseers missing from 3 of the last critical fights, and that has allowed Clem to keep these Ghosts alive over and over and over again. Serral is going to burrow up some Lings. They will get picked off. This game is getting so close now.
Steadfast, it's not missing Overseers, it's Clem acknowledging, understanding that the way he wins this fight, Infestor looking for it once again. Serral, you have the right position. Widowmine's not gonna trigger off it. The Lings will not force it in time. But again, the big deal there, Serral is getting those Overseers every single time. Fungal on the medevacs. Ghost will stay alive here. Here comes Serral's army once again. 17 SCVs, 70 army supply, and it's gonna be even less. Serral trading down 20-odd thousand resources is somehow making this game happen.
Unbelievable stuff. I said Clem was unbreakable. Serral took that personally. We see the Lings, the Ultras getting it on top of the Ghost. There is a huge, deep tank line behind this, but Clem is so far down in supply now. Both players have no production. The base on the top side that should have been Clem's in theory, Serral was mining from it. It's been denied. Still, if Clem cannot get another base up in the next, I don't know, no time at all, really, he is going to have no chance. There it is, the lifted command center on the top. Clem needs to hold this. Full stop. That's it. He needs to get this base up and running.
Clem is literally not mining. He's got 100 minerals a minute in, but the power of the Terror and the power of, I don't even know how many command centers, I don't even know how many orbitals means that all of a sudden his economic woes, at least for the moment, they will be solved. That is so many mules as he gives up the bottom side. He says, well, you know what? I mined from it a little bit. That's fine. I don't think you're going to be able to take it in time. When a mine drop goes off, Lings will fall. 9 drones, maybe. 9 drones will hit the deck. So 9 SCVs left. 34 drones left. And the Widowmine is actually going to get a big shot.
Gets 2 big shots on the Widowmines, a 3rd one as well, but he is going to force the base back. However, so many Lings fell, and Serral, that is actually a really big deal. He's only on 30 Zerglings right now. He's not mining a ton himself. The Mules did survive, so they're able to go back there. and get into this again. We do see the Inverted Infestor that might have moved in range of the missile turret. Clem wisely building his own missile turret right now. Clem is currently outmining his opponent's mineral income. Serral knows he must deny this base. Clem, though, might realize Serral is ultra broke too. And with the tanks on the high ground, no Viper in sight, they are going to survive. The Caustic Spray not able to get the command center. It will survive. My God, this game is unreal. The Infestor! He gets the fungal, but not on every single ghost right there. The kiting back gonna come on in. Ultra's trying to turn the corner, but they get shredded by the tanks. Clem holds once more.
But the orbital is so low. 5 HP, he's gonna drop a mule, looking for the repair. Cracklings knock that down, and Clem will hold the high ground, but he's gotta buy more time. Again, he's pretty much not mining. He's got like 2 mineral patches. By the way, he lost the gold bases that was happening. He doesn't have that position anymore. Looks like a couple Lings dealt with that, so there is no money on the map. Clem needs this spot right here.
He certainly does. The Infestor not able to get the fungal growth right there. We're going to see a lot pickup on the Ghost on the left side. Ghost on the right going down. These siege tanks on this high ground are holding the line like nobody's business, and another Mule Hammer drops. But Serral, he's got a new injection, just what I was talking about. Starts up that base on the bottom side. Those minerals at the gold base, I don't think there's a ton of them, but there is more than 0, and it is going to come down to the absolute wire right now. 12 SCVs versus 34 drones. There are 8 orbital commands, so the Mule Hammer is mighty. Liberator on the bottom side will get chased. Oh. All right. Yeah, he's gonna chase it down, no problem.
Yeah, but that does unlock Clem a little bit on the north side, tries to run forward here. And we talked about army supplies, they're equal 63 to 67. 18 of that is in Corruptors. Yes, they fight the Medivacs. Yes, they fight the Liberators. On the ground, though, importantly, it's 1 Ultra. The big deal, a bunch of Infestors just finished. If Serral can get that fungal again, if he can find that, and importantly, if he can chain it, that's what he's gonna be looking for here. This supply is not as good as it looks.
For Serral, absolutely not. Only 1 Ultralist, 2 about to pop out, though. Creep being cleared at the 32-minute mark on Alcyone. Very nice hot pickup from Clem. Every little advantage, every little positive trade you get is massive. We are going to see the drop on the bottom side. Serral does have a spotting unit in front of that base, and the Corruptors are on their way down. Oh, it's an Infestor. But all this can really do is potentially slow this down. Drones are going to be pulled. This is a huge boon for Clem. If he kills this base, Serral might just have to go.
Infest from the left side, though. It hits the Medivac. Doesn't get the Marines. So, no, here come the Corruptors. Serral, he's going to be able to knock this down. Drop won't find value, but does this unlock the north side? The other base, that position that Clem's been looking for, there's nothing here. In fact, the drones, preemptively for the most part, they're pulled away. Serral, his entire army's bottom right.
It is bottom right, but I think Clem has correctly realized as long as he holds his own top left base, he is traded efficiently enough. He has got a few ghosts. He is going to find with a small drop. I like this very non-committal setup. Gets 4 drones, which is actually quite a few in terms of percentages. Oh, the Infestor once again. Did he see the movement, the kind of rustling of the dirt? The scan comes down, he finds it! Clem, so nicely done right there. This base, so much trouble. EMP on the Infestors, but the Ultralisk on the top side. Can it get the job done? With the siege tank in the back, the answer is no. Clem holds again on 8 SCVs and 8 orbitals. What a game on our hands.
Those 3 tanks are the only thing that has stood between Clem's victory and his defeat, and now that EMP on the Infestor meant that, hey, there was only one. Clem
the hot
saves the
pickup.
tank as well because he's just that good. And here comes the slow Terran push. This is where it gets so hard for Zerg players on Lings and Banes and Ultras. That composition, especially down supply, is not the most efficient here, especially as Clem has this ability to retreat, to hold the high ground. But here come it. Again, 5 Ultras, a couple Infestors. It's all about those fungals. First one whiffs, there are still a couple more.
Yes, there are. It is also going to come down to, are there any ghosts available? Good job from Clem to deny the changeling that wanted to see where Clem's army was. Serral, he is in trouble. He knows he needs a monster engagement as he falls further and further behind in supply. And Clem is really ramping the pressure up on this base. Serral will be able to find a couple of Widowmines on the front, but Clem going for that one Ultra, even damage on Ultras at this point. Nice split from Clem right there. Huge Widowmine shot. Serral's gonna go for it. The Blinding Cloud is good, but the defense of Clem is even better.
Like a ship at the night, Clem finds his way forward here, and you shall not break him. You shall not pass. You shall not mine. It's a 40 army supply lead, and Clem feels like finally 35 minutes into this game has cracked this thing wide open. There is no more money for Serral. He's mining a little bit, I guess, on the right side, but at this point, Steadfast, not only does it feel like Clem has finally cracked open this game, it feels like the winner of this game is destined for this series.
It certainly feels like this is the pivotal moment of this series. We will see the Corruptors looking for the Caustic Spray takedown on this base, and as the damage ramps, he will find it. But Clem has already taken what he needed from that base. He's denied the base on the bottom side. Serral is trying to draw his opponent into an unfavorable fight, but Clem constantly scanning, never gonna get caught out by those Infestors. And there he sees the Infestors now. They are gonna get slowed down. The EMP shuts the door on the Miracle, and Clem, he is inching closer and closer to this game number 3 victory.
One Fogel remains. I don't know where it is. It's from the backside. It's from the backside, but it's not enough. Not at all. Serral's dead. Clem has killed him. I can't believe what we just saw.
Unbelievable stuff coming out from the Frenchman. He is now on the verge of the grand finals. Up to 1 versus Serral. What a game. The resources lost was just ridiculous in favor of Clem.
You know, Steadfast, I don't know if the players need a break here, but I need a break. I'm sweating. My heart is beating. What did we just see?
We just witnessed the evolution of Clem. He is transformed from a ladder player, from a young kid, into a champion before our very eyes. Will he win this tournament? I don't know, but he has just become the champion of my heart.
Oh, I have seen one game played against Serral that is that good, and this reminds me of, and that was an online game on, man, I can't even remember the name of the map. On Blackburn, Maru versus Serral from a couple years ago. Maru was dead, pushed back against it, and over the course of 35 minutes, he outtrades, and that was the moment when I looked at Maru and realized, hey, this late game style that you're starting to build, this might be just about the best way to play. This might make you this might make it possible for you to take down the likes of Serral, the likes of Dark here, and we saw that going into Katowice a little bit later on as well. And now, Clem's able to pull it off here in this game, and honestly, for much, much bigger stakes.
Absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, until we see more, this is the greatest single map of Clem's career. This is the most impressive we've ever seen of him. It is not that it is necessarily the best play, although I think you could make an argument for it. Under the circumstances, this was just magnificent. As we see, man, this highlight reel could have been 7 minutes long. There was so many moments, and we see in the bottom right, that camera, the big relief from Clem as he goes up to match point. I am just so excited to move into Oceanborn and see if Clem can take it down, or if we're going to a game number 5.
Well, we're gonna have to find that out, because as we move into Oceanborn here, in the upper left, in the red for Basilisk, looking to send us to that game number 5 to keep the dream alive. It's Serral.
And his opponent, spawning down in the bottom right. We've watched him grow. Is this his final form? Give it up for Team Liquid's Clem! And you know what? We've seen a lot of sad Maru fans. We've seen a lot of people who've been like, Maru, you got knocked out early. You haven't been able to do it in these offline tournaments overseas. Well, I've got good news for you, Terran fans. your new hope. He's here. Help me, Clem B1 Kenobi. You're my only hope.
You know, Steadfast, the intro music for this game is the most perfect thing ever because it says, "Oh, come, all ye faithful, come to Atlanta, come worship Clem." That game, we have more to see. Absolutely, we have more to see. Oceanborn, it's another map. Serral has shown us time and time again that he can come back from deficits. Clem pushed him harder than anyone in the regionals, in that upper bracket finals before Serral eventually took the entire thing. But Clem pushed him incredibly hard, and he was still able to make it happen. So as much as I say, wow, best game I've ever seen from Clem realistically, that doesn't mean this series is over, not by a long shot.
Not at all. We cannot discount Serral from this. This is such a high-level series. And, you know, it is important to note, even though that went very difficultly for Serral, he did create a lot of opportunities for himself, and he is a seasoned veteran. He is not going to be shaken. He played an extraordinarily strong matchup, but Clem, he is going to be able to get the denial on this third base for the moment. Once again, utilizing that early SCV. Serral, well, he's going to be able to save that drone, and I like that. Doesn't even morph the extractor. Settling in, staying calm. Nice start for game 2.
Yeah, and it's nice as well. He identified what drone was targeted. He kind of identified where the KD8 charge would be, so he pulls the drone out a little earlier, making sure that it's not going to get caught in the animation, but the Queen gets bounced back, and this third base is, again, going to be a really, really slow. Reaper actually regenning a little bit, so Clem's going to be able to sit around a little bit, thinks about diving on top. He's not going to be able to block the cancel, but wants to dive in. Once again, he's too low this time, and this third base will finally, in 2 games, finally go down on time.
That was a beautiful little dance right there between those two players. The grenade coming down, forcing the Queen back, the Reaper pushing the drone away, then the Queen pushing the Reaper away, then the drone coming back in, SCV blocking. That was like the most micro you can see with just 2 units on each side. Man, they are both playing in absolutely top form, and Clem finally going to be mixing it up a little bit. He still will open up with that fast third CC, but it is going to be a very quick second barracks. We are going to see a fast 2-1-1 behind us. That's going to allow him to get a lot of Marines and a couple medevacs onto the map at a very early timing, relatively speaking. And Clem, he has looked on fire with some of his early Marine attacks. This could really potentially catch Serral off guard if he doesn't make the adjustments.
And, you know, not only, we talk about this setup, how the third base was delayed a little bit, not as bad as game number 2, absolutely, but delayed a little bit. At least Serral, he went for the delayed clash type of opener. He got a couple more drones out early. It's a 4-minute sit or a 4-minute speed instead of 3:30. And also, there's a Roach Warren on the way. I talked to Serral before this series. I said, hey, you know what, my read on this is you're getting Roaches because the Bailings have been nerfed. He says, no. There's so much aggression out of Cyclones. Is he gonna see the Scout here, though? That's the question. 2 Marines. He's gonna see the Factory, but nothing more.
Oh, he hit the starport, Clem. Oh, very nicely done. Moving it up to the top right. That might have been enough information for Serral to know, hey, you're building a reactor at a weird timing. He's not exactly sure what's going on. We'll check back in. And seeing that Marine count, I think that should be enough information for him to figure out what's going on. It could theoretically be reactors for a second and third barracks that are just on the way. Would depend a little bit on the timing, but I think Serral should have the information he needs. However, he has gone pretty high on the drone count. He's still droning, doesn't actually have a whole lot of Lings on the map, and if he doesn't start building Lings or Roaches, could be a little bit scary, but there's the Roaches starting on up.
Well, only 3 larvae right now, so you can build some Roaches, and I guess he will have the time to get more. I was going to say, actually, that it feels like Serral really knows what's happening here. He's got only a single eBay, he's got +1 armor on the way, but he really is cutting those corners to make sure, A, he gets up to 61, 66 drones, gets that really nice economy, but also has everything that he needs to defend. That being said, a little bit supply block. The Roaches that he has are all that he's going to have for the next couple seconds or so.
Yeah, but as long as he stays on creep, he should be okay. Oh, the Ling's gonna get the wraparound here on the Marines. Marines leaving the depot open. That is gonna potentially be a lot of SCV damage. Serral will be able to push this back on the top side. Clem does snipe down a Queen, but at the very least, it's not the worst thing it could have been for Clem. Nice little SCV micro right there. Only losing 2 workers. Oh man, the attention to detail from these players is immaculate. Still, that did disrupt a fair bit. We are going to see a very fast infestation pit coming down off of that extremely delayed second Evo. This is quite an interesting setup from Serral as he does find himself on the ropes in the series.
That he does, but if he's able to make something happen here, get up to a really quick hive, really quick lurk, or ultras or something, again, like he did tomorrow, and that's kind of what this build is looking like. Even still, though, Ling's again looking for that counterattack, but that high ground tank is doing so much. Now, Clem, he can't get a ton done with this. The roaches are there, and he's not able to quite multi-prong as well as he would like yet because he does have problems at home. Even still, Clem, it's not about this push. It's about when 1-1 is done. It's about when he can bring these tanks to bear. We can start to really lay into this, well, this pretty greedy Serral.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be follow-throughs for sure. Very interesting from Clem. I don't see a fourth command center on the way just yet, and he is adding on a second factory. There's potential that he might sit on 3 bases for a while and build a hell of a lot of tanks and go for a big push, but just as I say that, he starts up the fourth command center, so no, we are not going to see a super heavily dedicated push that the likes of Ryung really loves. Still, little bit of extra tank production early on could be scary for Serral. However, he is getting it into that hive and will be able to add on Vipers.
You know, Steadfast, I love this. I am not opposed to playing another 40-minute game that mines out the entire map and just it breaks everything. I don't even know. Now, I don't know that my nerves can handle it because I'm feeling a little shaky right now. I'm feeling a little shot after that last game. But in terms of what I love, absolutely. But for now, 1-1's done for Clem. He's got 2-2 on the way, adding in +1 mech attack with the 4th base. I don't know how much he's going to be able to get done with this because, again, there is that 4th base on the way. He has to be so careful about these infestors on the map. But at the very least, he's going to be able to get a cancel on the 5th. The fungal lands on the medevacs, but not the bio. Clem stays alive on this push.
Yes, and he will be able to jump up into the natural. Meanwhile, pre-dodging the fungal before it can even get cast on the right side. Great job from Clem, avoiding both dangerous situations. And now we're going to see another denial on the 5th base. Clem is playing, once again, very well in this game number 4.
He's playing so well, gets so many lings in this game number 4.
Oh, he's baiting it.
He looks for it, he's not gonna find it, and unfortunately, unlike against Dark in an EPT Cup on Monday, there's no Widow Mine behind to drag everything into and immediately win the game. Even still, trading really nicely, keeping the Zerg on 4 bases is fantastic as the Terran, especially as your 4th base is on location. So Clem, knocking down creep a little bit, will get forced out, but he's already got a push on that 1 o'clock position where Serral's gonna try to expand. He's there in time, but at least the pressure, Serral can't go on the Clem side of the map at all.
No, he certainly cannot, and Clem is continuing to power up that mid-game army. Huge fungal growth. The hot pickup does save the majority of the Marines, but it's decent. Once again, this base getting denied. Clem is just being so difficult to deal with. 1 queen gonna fall. We will see Serral getting back in position with the rest of his army, but the ping-ponging between this natural and this potential 5th base has been immaculate. No Spore Crawler from Serral in the natural is allowing Clem to get away with this, and I'd really like to see something for that.
Yeah, I was going to say the one potential problem for Clem right now is that Ultras are already on the map. They're hitting the map right now, and there's no Ghost Academy. But he got it started right at that time, so eventually he should have what it takes. Is now around the corner. Corners are absolutely a Terran's best friend, so it's going to be solid trades. Blinding Cloud will force Clem back here, and this is where it gets a little bit scary. Ultras have been revealed. Chitinous plating in 5 seconds. Serral wants to take the game right now, but the tanks on the high ground, the Liberators, they say no, absolutely not.
That was a really good play from both players right there. Serral revealing his ultras in a great fashion, looking at a huge jump on his opponent's army, but Clem not allowing Serral to find a huge cleanup on that army. If there was infestors ready with the fungal growths, if they could have landed that massive connection, that could have been Serral taking the game right then and there. But Clem gets the hot pickup, fights a beautiful retreat, and closes the door on Serral's dream fight.
That he does, but Serral, he's got another attack here on the left side, knocks the rocks down, gets ready, waits for for that +2 attack, for that upgrade parries. Here comes the army. Infestor on the north side, pay attention to that one if the fungal hits, but for now on the bottom side, so many Banelings, and watch for the Infestor. It's not there yet. Serral looks for the break. He will find it, and now here comes Clem on the chase. Ultras are still weak. They don't have that +3, so it's a dead planetary. It's 12 dead SCVs, but look at that Infestor. It's Sharkin. Serral, he wants it. Is he gonna find it?
He is certainly looking for it here. It does have double fungal growth available. Obviously, with the medevacs and with that nerf to the damage, getting the 2 fungal kill is a lot more difficult than it used to be, but it is still something that Serral could think about if the army's low enough. However, he's looking for the actual catch on the army. The choke is gonna work. Oh, the siege tank, not able to snipe that Infestor, but the Marauders will. Good job from Clem with the scan, looking for that. The double Liberator counterattack on the top side will get 7 drones. Triple Liberator, very nicely done from Clem. So difficult to deal with. Serral is answering this, but Clem is just being so persistent.
You know, Dave, it's funny. The one moment, the one magic moment that Serral's able to get onto the map to start to try to enforce some sort of will on Clem.
Oh, the Vipers!
Holy, he gets the Vipers and 20 dead drones. But again, the one moment he gets on the other side, Clem's got 3 Liberators. He kills so many workers, gets the base. And if we take a look at resources lost here, Clem has been trading insanely while doubling up Serral.
He is trading out of his damn mind. Double efficiency. By the numbers, by the math, it's right there in front of you. And man, oh man, Serral, yes, he's maxed out. Yes, he's got a bank, but it is nowhere near as big of a bank as it was in game number 3. And he wasn't able to close that game out. He wasn't able to win it. Clem has gotten up to his 10 ghosts and will continue to add those on. He is about to hit that 3-3. The burrowed Infestor, though, in amongst the army could be massive. But no, he's not able to get it. Serral gonna try and commit anyways. Ultras will get on top of the tanks. The snipes are gonna be good. And Clem retreats back up the ramp, retreats to the siege tank, and takes another very cost-efficient fight. Serral doesn't have many of those left in the tank.
That Infestor may have been a wolf among sheep, but steadfast. Those sheep have teeth. Serral keeps looking for this. And unlike previous games, unlike games against Clem in days past, he hasn't got that juicy one, not when it matters. He's either not in the right position, or he's not ready to follow up, or there's a doodad and the map isn't liking him. Serral hasn't found that magic that we've seen from him time after time after time. And now, again, it's a rough spot. At least Serral, he's got every base that he could find. He's on 89 drones, even with that economic damage. So he's mining a lot. He continues to build this base, and these Ultras should be able to defend this position.
They should be able to force the pushback. Clem, he says, well, you know, I got a little bit of time. I got the micro ability. Don't see any Vipers. I can trade a little bit of HP. And he gets back out of there. Clem looking for every advantage he can find. He knows how close he is. He knows he can taste that grand finals against the final boss, Dark. But Serral is not out of this yet. He's still got a strong army. He is a tenacious little Zerg. This is still very opportunistic for Serral. But Clem, as he secures his bases, as he techs up, adds on Liberators, adds on Starports, and continues to keep Serral down, this is looking better and better for the Frenchman.
And we have to remember, last game, Serral was down about 30,000 resources and still almost won the fight. And that's a beautiful blinding cloud on the planetary, on the tanks. But look at this arc from Clem. It's gonna not really net Serral all that much. Snipes are gonna go down on the Ultras on the backside. Yeah, there's a dead planetary. There's a command center right there. Who cares? You're gonna get another one. It's gonna be fine. At most, he got 10 SCVs, maybe got a couple ghosts. It continues to be incredibly inefficient for Serral.
It certainly has, and Serral lost so much. Clem can counterattack on the top side, and I think if he is decisive, he might just be able to snipe down that base right here and now. His tank line, his Liberator line is so deep off screen. I believe there's an Infestor, though, in the middle. The ghosts are all clumped up, but the scan comes down again. He will not be blindsided. Still, the army of Serral is on the charge. Clem did wipe out the base. There's another Infestor burrowed in on top of this. Can he get that? The scan will not find this army, but is there even enough for the chase down. Serral is not close enough to pull the trigger on that fungal, and Clem remains maxed out. He knocked out another base, and he's got a drop coming into the main.
We do have to remember that as good as this looks for Clem, as good as this economic damage is, this trading is, Clem hasn't started building a bank yet. He is only on these core 5 bases. He's got more command centers. He's gonna try to take them eventually. But for right now, Serral's economy, well, is for the most part outstripping Clem. There's a mule hammer right now, but in general, Clem has had not as much money per minute. He hasn't been able to build that bank. So as good as this looks, one really bad fight, one big infesta shot can turn this all around.
It certainly can, and Serral, he has been so aggressively looking for it. He keeps putting those infestors in beautiful positions. Even when one gets sniped, there's another one ready to take its place. I cannot stress how high level these players are playing. Clem somehow keeping this medevac alive against the parasitic bombs, able to snipe down 3 more drones, and saves the Marines. He's being such a nuisance with such a small number of units. He's playing the best StarCraft of his life right now.
That he is, but okay, parasitic bomb says, you saved it. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That being said, though, Serral, Greater Spire once again. Last time he built 17.
Oh, the infestor!
Infestor backside.
Oh, it's too far
dodges.
away, but there's the fungal.
Oh, it doesn't get a ton, though. Even still, that is going to be really nice. Clem didn't get the bio, but did get the medevacs, kept them in place, and that did mean that Clem, he's going to lose that. And I'm really curious here. Do we actually see Broodlords in this game? Last time, Serral made the Greater Spire. He got upgrades. He never had the time. He never thought it was the right opportunity. He never got a single Broodlord. This time, his economy, his bank, it's even worse.
Yes, but the setup for Clem is not as good either. There's no 6th base just yet. There's only 2 starports. There's only 2 factories. The upgrades are not really great for the air. And for the ground, they are 2-1. But if it does have to end up being Thor's emergency mode or emergency Vikings, he's not going to be able to pump them out very quickly. This is a much better game for Broodlords if Serral can get a trade and get into them.
Yeah, absolutely. But the question is, can he get a trade? Can he get into them? Because Broodlords work when you're set up for them, when you're ready, when you can free up some supply, get them all ready, and start the push. Start that slow siege that make it so hard for the Terran to deal with. But I haven't seen a single fight this game. I haven't seen a single fight this series where Clem loses a fight that badly that you have that time to trade out and go again. Because the moment that Serral disengages on the fight, the snipes go down and Clem steamrolls across the map. He says, I'm gonna get as much damage as possible. I'm gonna snipe a base. I'm gonna get drones. I'm not gonna give you time for any sort of tech transition.
I just want to point out another fantastic thing Serral is doing during all this. As we do see one snipe managing to land, there's a changeling on the bottom side. Looking at that unit production tab, there's a changeling watching that Clem still has good defense on that bottom side. Serral not going to be able to find the rotation necessarily, but here comes the infestor. It runs into a missile turret, will get taken down. The Vipers are going to come on in, blinding clouds, parasitic bombs, will manage to land a little bit. Is there enough for Serral to break through? The answer is no. There's too many ghosts on the backside, and Clem will once again push Serral back. But 15 SCVs go down. The 6th base has not come up yet. Couple of ultras on a bad rally will go down. And once more, Clem now has enough left over to counterattack and deny this base again. That was, on the whole, very good for Clem.
Serral's bank's big, but the ability, the time you need to reinforce is not there yet.
Oh, the EMP!
And the EMP and the shutdown. No infestors here. The ghosts will stand strong. They will stand indefeatable, and the base will fall. Snipes on drones and dragonlings. Why not? The position that Serral has had for quite a while now, it's broken, and hey, there's even more damage. That being said, bottom left side, Serral has taken a base from Clem, but he needs to mine from it. He needs to take advantage. Position doesn't matter, money does.
Serral needs to win this one with the next bit of bank he's got. He's gonna show the Corruptors, maybe gonna try and bait out some Vikings, but the fact that he's shown those Corruptors means that the chance of surprise Broodlords drops massively. And I can't pretend that you need Thors and Vikings necessarily. If there's enough ghosts, they will absolutely do the job if you can't keep those away from the Broodlords. Serral not wanting to pull the trigger on the transition just yet. In fact, it is going to be a couple more ultras and more infestors. Nice dodge in the EMP, but Clem is tenacious. He is hunting for that infestor. And the snipe, he got it in the middle of the army. Beautiful accuracy. That's why he's #1.
I don't even know what to say anymore about Clem. He's just playing out of his freaking mind. Yeah, there's a base in the bottom left side, but Liberator range denies a lot of it here as Serral tries to make Brack from Clem once again, but he can't do it. Not just yet. The Liberators, the splits, the readiness of Clem makes this so hard. And the Infestors, they're not finding their shots. They're gonna burrow up and one away. Banelings on Marauders again. Not what you want, and 4 more Liberators at a time, +1 air attack on the way, +3 mech armor on the way. You said Clem wasn't in that position where he had what he needed to really have this high-powered air army. Give him a couple minutes, he's gonna get there.
He certainly is. I think I would like to see a couple more starports, maybe a couple more factories. He's up to 3 factories now, but he is doing such a good job of constantly scanning Serral's army, not letting the secret tech switch ever come out, never actually being able to find this. Serral, Clem will get the better of Serral on the bottom side with this small potatoes little dance. Hold that thought, we are going to see an attack coming on in. Fungal growth on the Ghost. The Baneling's coming on in. Is this going to be enough? The answer is no. The hot pickup is good, but Serral will temporarily break the position. He's going to clean up a ton of Liberators. He didn't break the Ghost count, but he buys himself a little bit of space.
The crazy thing is that is finally what Serral's been looking for, and he still traded worse in the fight. It wasn't quite as good. Actually, no, he didn't get enough gas, that's fine. I looked at the minerals. Even still though, Clem is able to keep most of those goats alive. They're able to get in the medevac. They're able to run away. He's able to really maintain this sieged up position. But now, Serral on the map a little bit. He breaks the position. Clem has to run away, dropping scans everywhere. He needs to know, is there an infestor on the north side? Is there an infestor on the left side? Is there something I have to know about? As this slow push from Clem works hard to deny the mining of Serral, but here comes Serral. Through the middle, once again, the Liberators are raining hell. Only one goes down for the moment, and this Sim City into the tanks, into the Ghosts, into the Liberators. Serral has not been able to break that this entire series, and a couple snipes to boot.
Absolutely fantastic from Clem. The Sim City, more so than the army, was the starring role in that last fight. And Clem continues to deplete the bank of Serral. Serral is trying so desperately to mine from this base to get an income advantage in the aggregate because he knows that Clem, having secured that top side, is going to start mining from the base that Serral used to have. There is a burrowed Ling up here. That is good for Serral, but he cannot hold the position long term once Clem turns his attention there. And Clem, he is going to deny this base. Beautiful Ling run by on the top side, but it is not going to be able to get through this massive Liberator anti-air. However, the Corruptors will. Very nice counterattack, Ling Corruptor, but we are going to see a few Corruptors going down to the answer from Clem. Both players doing the answer to each other's moves. Such a high-level game and series.
You know, Steadfast, last night we were told that we're doing this series, and I've been dreaming of it ever since. I really didn't sleep a lot last night because I knew how good this was going to be.
I mean, how could you?
I know, right?
Ooh,
and I
Infestor.
am Infestor, and that's a lot of Ghost all clumped together, but there's no follow-up ready right now. And the longer this goes, there will be missile turrets. Clem knows how this game has happened. Scan goes down, Infestor falls, but here comes Serral once. He's going to opt into the fight even without that crowd control. But we've seen what happens here. We've seen what happens when Serral looks for the high ground. There's nothing there. Planetarians go down, or Planetarians do well. Missile turrets, they make everything happen, and Serral continues to not be able to break anything.
Serral is just getting worse and worse of the trades, and he is finding himself in a more and more difficult position as time goes on. He is doing everything he bloody well can to try and find a way. He's now long distance mining this base. That should tell you how bad the situation is. Serral was out mining Clem for a very long time, but now it is all blue arrows. There is an Infestor on top of the army. The fungal growth will come on in, but the hot pickup once again going to be enough. However, the Ultras are still there in massive numbers. Parasitic Bomb on the Vikings. The Liberators will be moved past. Banelings kited away from. Planetary Fortress goes down, but the counter snipes from Clem are massive, and the Ghost count is still at 15. Serral is not going to be able to break through. Clem is on the verge of a date with the grand finals.
Now, Steadfast, we do have to remember there's not a lot of gas. The Fungal's gonna whiff here. Serral runs in. Serral does not make the finals. Clem, for the first time in an offline event in front of a crowd like this, he will make that finals. It's a date with Dark. He will finally do it.